Okay, welcome everyone to this deep dive.
Hello.
Today we are jumping right into something pretty unique. It combines, well, a totally bizarre public health decision, a huge infrastructure project, and just an utterly revolting, but also weirdly funny ecological disaster.
We're talking about London's Great Stink of 1858.
Exactly. We've been looking through some great source material, like excerpts from the Great London Stink of 1858.
And it doesn't pull any punches, does it? It really leans into the sheer horror, but also the absurdity of it all.
Oh, absolutely. The source material even flags this as potentially a 15 out of 10 for, like, calamitous absurdity. It's off the charts.
Which is quite a rating.
Right. So our mission today is really to unpack this whole, frankly, disgusting situation.
Find those key moments, the aha insights hidden under all the, well, the muck.
Yeah, and understand how something so gross actually became a massive turning point. We're focusing on how good intentions just went spectacularly wrong and the darkly comedic side the source points out.
Get ready. It's quite a story.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. Mid-19th century London. It's booming, right? Population is just explosive.
A real global hub, growing incredibly fast.
Mm-hmm.
But the sanitation, not keeping up.
Not even close. It was basically medieval. Most waste straight into the River Thames, just flushed away or, carried there.
And here's the kicker, the bit that always gets me.
Go on.
That same River Thames, that was where huge numbers of Londoners got their drinking water.
Ugh. Yes. Waste goes in, drinking water comes out. You can see where this is heading.
Predictably, yeah. Devastating cholera epidemics just sweeping through the city again and again.
But the understanding back then wasn't about germs in the water, was it?
No, not yet. It was all about the miasma theory. They thought cholera came from bad air, these like noxious smells or vapors rising from filth.
Okay, so bad air is the enemy, which leads to the first solution. And this is where it starts getting really interesting and kind of painful.
Attempt number 1, cesspools. The idea was, okay, let's contain the waste under houses, trap the bad air, stop the cholera.
Containment. Makes a sort of sense if you think air is the problem.
Right. But these weren't sealed tanks like we might imagine. They were often just badly built pits.
So what happened?
They filled up, they overflowed, they leaked constantly. Sewage seeped into basements, foundations, even contaminated nearby wells.
Oh, great. So instead of the waste going neatly into the river, it's just soaking into the ground under people's homes.
Exactly. Still filth everywhere, just, subterranean filth, a different kind of nightmare.
Containment failed. So naturally, the next brilliant idea arrives.
Get this. An actual act of parliament mandated connecting these leaky, overflowing cesspools directly to the River Thames.
Wait. So first, try to keep it in. That fails. So the next step is actively pump more concentrated sewage into the river.
Precisely, from every house, basically. Channel it all directly into the main water source.
What was the thinking there? Seriously.
The logic, however flawed, was the river's big. The tide will just, wash it all the way out to sea. Problem solved.
It's staggering, the sheer miscalculation.
Astonishing is a good word for it. And the result was immediate and huge.
Millions upon millions of gallons of raw sewage, right? Plus all the industrial waste, dead animals, general city garbage.
Pouring into the Thames every single day.
The river just transformed, almost overnight, you'd imagine.
It stopped being a river in the normal sense. It became London's main artery, yes, but also its giant open sewer, slow-moving, festering, right through the middle of everything.
And the source material really highlights the derp factor here, as it calls it, that massive underestimation.
Totally. They had no real grasp of the volume of waste a city that size produced. And crucially, they were dead wrong about the river cleaning itself out.
They forgot about the tide coming back in.
Exactly. The Thames in London is tidal. So the sewage didn't just flow out to sea, it went downriver a bit. And then the incoming tide pushed it right back upriver. It just sloshed back and forth, concentrating more and more.
Especially in the central part of the city.
Right.
Right where?
Right where Parliament and the law courts were located.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the irony. It was just building up cycle after cycle, a ticking time bomb of filth.
And then comes the summer of 1858, which sets the stage for the main event.
The Great Stink itself, yes.
What happened that summer specifically?
It was unusually hot and dry. Very little rain.
So the river level dropped.
Right. Low water levels, combined with this unprecedented concentration of sewage sloshing back and forth under the baking summer sun.
Oh, no.
The Thames didn't just smell bad, it literally started to ferment.
The entire river. Fermenting.
A fermenting river of sewage. The sources describe the smell as, well, indescribable, really. Overwhelming, pervasive, blanketing the whole city.
Not just near the banks, but everywhere.
Everywhere, like an invisible, gag-inducing cloud had descended. Pure, concentrated, fermented human waste.
And the impacts. This is where the source really leans into the absurdity, the almost dark comedy of it.
Oh, absolutely. Parliament itself, right
Yeah.
there on the riverbank. They couldn't stand it.
What did they do?
They tried soaking the curtains in chloride of lime, like a disinfectant, hoping to mask or neutralize the smell.
Did it work?
Apparently, not even slightly. It was completely futile. Debates actually had to be suspended. The government couldn't function because the stink was too overpowering.
That's incredible. The leaders of a global empire defeated by smell.
It's horrifying, but yeah, the image is almost comical. And judges reportedly abandoned their courtrooms.
Couldn't blame them.
Anyone who could afford to just packed up and left London for the summer, fled the city.
And what was that detail about the ships?
Oh, right. The smell was supposedly so potent, so chemically active from the fermentation, that it started corroding the copper plating on the hulls of ships moored in the Thames.
A smell that eats metal. That's a powerful smell.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? And the source even mentions the idea of fatbergs, though that's a modern term.
But the conditions were right.
Perfect. All that grease, fats, insoluble waste swirling around in that concentrated mess. It describes the Thames as a living, breathing, festering monstrosity. Precursors to modern fatbergs were almost certainly forming.
Just, wow. A living monstrosity. But this utter, inescapable horror, that was the turning point, wasn't it?
Exactly. It had to get that bad, that level of just overwhelming, unavoidable physical disgust.
The Great Stink wasn't just gross anymore. It was a full-blown crisis threatening the functioning of the city and the government.
Driven by pure, rank, inescapable smell. And that finally lit a fire under Parliament. Picture them, handkerchiefs pressed to their noses.
Finally deciding something had to be done.
And
Quickly.
unbelievably quickly, actually. The source says it took just 18 days for them to approve a massive, incredibly expensive public works project. The desperation must have been immense.
And this is where Joseph Bazalgette comes in.
The hero of the hour, Sir Joseph Bazalgette, the engineer who designed and oversaw the construction of London's first proper modern sewer system.
A huge network of intercepting sewers running parallel to the river, catching the waste before it got there.
And channeling it far downstream, beyond the city, to be released on the ebb tide. A truly monumental piece of engineering.
And amazingly, parts of it are still in use today, right? The core system.
That's right. It's a testament to his foresight and the quality of the construction. Built to last.
But the trigger, the reason this huge, vital project finally happened,
Wasn't some sudden scientific enlightenment about germs or a wave of public health concern, though those were growing. No.
it was the smell.
It was the smell, the absurd political trigger, as the source puts it. A great world city forced into massive life-saving action because the stench of its own sewage became unbearable.
It really earns that 15 out of 10 rating for both calamity and, well, comedic absurdity.
It does. It's legendary. Horrifying for those living through it, no doubt. But looking back, the sheer extremity of the problem and the nature of the final catalyst, it's hard not to see the dark humor.
Something so basic, so visceral as smell forced monumental change.
It really underscores how sometimes it takes that kind of undeniable sensory overload to break through inertia.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway from this stinky saga?
I think the core thing is seeing how this awful self-inflicted disaster driven by bad decisions and bad theories became a crucial turning point. It was sheer, inescapable discomfort that drove the change.
Not high-minded ideals necessarily, but the basic human reaction to something utterly vile.
Exactly. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound shifts are triggered by the most fundamental, unavoidable realities, like a smell you just cannot ignore.
So we went from medieval muck through these disastrous fixes that just made things worse,
To a stench so powerful it literally stopped the government.
which finally spurred this incredible engineering feat that saved countless lives and still serves London. All thanks to the Great Stink.
Pretty much.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? How often does it take that kind of extreme, undeniable discomfort, maybe not a literal stink, but something equally unavoidable to force us to tackle the really big problems?
Yeah. What obvious issues are we kind of just holding our noses about today, waiting for them to become completely unbearable before we finally act?
A thought to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this particularly pungent deep dive.
My pleasure. But maybe let's do something less aromatic next time.
Agreed.